Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. My name is Finchely, and today I'm accompanied by Excal in order to do an analysis of the DPP game between BKC and LadyBug. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. So just on lead we see Heatran versus Gallade. Heatran being, it's not an uncommon lead, but Gallade is not usually something you see. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so Heatran's not super uncommon at all. You'll see like Focus Sash Heatran, you'll see Specs Heatran as like an anti-lead. Those are probably the two most popular sets. As for Gallade, it's quite uncommon. It's not a particularly noteworthy Pokemon. It's not great generally, so you don't really see it because it's pretty niche, doesn't have a lot of defensive utility. It has, notably, it has the ability Steadfast, which means if Jirachi flinches with Iron Head, then it gets a speed boost, which can be kind of useful, but it's not very bulky. Has a weird typing that doesn't give it that much, as I said, defensive utility. Most popular would be Lumberry with like Will-O-Wisp, because Gallade is pretty good at burning stuff, because like Heatran and Clefable, like your Will-O-Wisp immunes are going to be forced out. So it could be like Lumberry with like Will-O-Wisp, close combat, and Ice Punch and stuff. Or it's people are kind of going for these trick Choice Scarf leads these days to disrupt things like Azelf and Aerodactyl. So I'm going to assume that that's probably the more popular take currently, which would be to use Choice Scarf Gallade to kind of get an early trick on Azelf or Aerodactyl, outspeed a ton of leads and just kind of get some momentum going. So you sacrifice, a lot in a slot to put Gallade in, so maybe he's got a specific strategy in mind.
Interesting. Well, let's see how this all plays out.
Yeah, that makes sense that BKC would go to Zapdos, and that is a lot of damage. 25% is strong. That's not choice band damage, but it's, Gallade is really powerful. It's probably Adamant if I were to guess, because usually when you see Heatran and leftover Zapdos, you're already kind of telegraphing the team. To be, most common with this kind of setup would be like Starmie, Blissey, Breloom, and then either Scarf Jirachi is the most popular filler there, or you'd see, I know BKC himself was using several years ago that exact composition, but with Scarf Metagross instead of Jirachi for additional physical bulk into Tyranitar, and you can kind of check all the Dragon Dancers in a vacuum. So I think he was using that with like discharge bulky Zapdos and stuff. This is a pretty well-known setup by Jirachi, the Smogon user, who made a very popular DPP team, and it's kind of persisted throughout time, and people have kind of used it on and off for the past like 10 years. So that would be my guess as to what BKC is using. Usually when you see, like I said, Heatran Zapdos, it's kind of like the Choice Specs Heatran with like the bulky backbone with the Starmie, Blissey, Breloom status absorbers, and then your Choice Scarfer to round out the team. As for LadyBug, we don't really know what he's got going on in the back, because Gallade can mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we'll see if my prediction is right there. Could be Tyranitar over Blissey for a more offensive variant, but we'll know pretty quickly.
Right. And so we do see Gallade switching out on the Zapdos discharge.
Yeah, it's a bulky Zapdos from BKC for sure. Pretty unusual to go to Zapdos on BKC Zapdos. That kind of indicates to me that LadyBug probably is using something pretty offensive, because usually a defensive team has a pretty good switch into Zapdos, like Blissey or Clefable or something like that, or a ground type. So what this implies to me is that LadyBug might not have a ground type that is good against Zapdos, and he probably is using something offensive with Zapdos as well, meaning that he's actually probably going to have some difficulty dealing with BKC Zapdos structurally.
And so, yeah, we do see that Blissey that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so that telegraphs BKC's team, basically. It's a pretty known team, so because it's very known, it's quite predictable. And yeah, LadyBug also using a kind of bulkier Discharge Zapdos. Discharge has kind of taken off in popularity because instead of using Thunder Wave and 2 attacks, you get additional coverage with Discharge, which people seem to be valuing right now. It's a reasonable choice to make in the builder. But yeah, I'm assuming because it's Discharge Zapdos, there's probably a spinner like Starmie or Donphan in the back for LadyBug, but kind of hard to tell what else he's using.
I see. What do you think the Blissey will click from this position? Stealth Rocks or?
Yeah, it's going to be Stealth Rock Blissey, because Blissey can keep up against Starmie really well, and tends to keep up decently against spinners, and it kind of favors a Thunder Wave Stealth Rock set on this kind of team. So BKC is definitely going to try to get Stealth Rocks up. LadyBug probably will go back to like Gallade or some sort of offensive Pokemon to pressure force Blissey out.
I see. So we do see the switch to a physically offensive Mon, and Blissey getting the rocks up.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe he's Stealth Rock Metagross. People kind of use that, although I'm not a big fan of Stealth Rock Metagross, because I think that Starmie is kind of annoying for it. Starmie can kind of keep off relatively easily against Metagross. Not like super easily, but like reliably enough that like usually if you have a Stealth Rock Metagross, you're going to want to have Tyranitar with it, like Pursuit Trap Starmie or threaten it offensively. So I'm just assuming by the way he's playing this Metagross, because usually if it's like a sweeper Metagross, like Agility, you're going to see it come out later game. But I think that because he went to Metagross instead of Gallade, LadyBug is intending to gain momentum by setting Stealth Rocks up.
Yeah. So we indeed see the Blissey switching out to Starmie on the rocks from Metagross. Oop. Went too far.
Spin, so yeah. BKC, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. That's fine. BKC is gonna, try to just kind of scout, see what the Metagross has against Starmie. Because if you can get away with Starmie being able to spin against Metagross, then yeah, you want to take that, especially with Zapdos in the back there. Yeah. So I think spin is reasonable there.
So we see the spin on EQ, and EQ's doing a decent amount, but not too much.
Yeah, 40's kind of weak. That implies to me that LadyBug probably has a bit of bulk in Metagross. Usually if it's like a max attack Metagross, you're going to see it do more than 40%. So that's probably some spread with some bulk. So he was able to spin, and what this tells me is that LadyBug probably doesn't have a ghost or anything, or yeah, I'm kind of doubting he's got a ghost. So it's already looking kind of tough for LadyBug, because it's going to be difficult for him to keep Stealth Rocks up and deal with that Zapdos at the same time. Zapdos Starmie already looking really annoying for LadyBug.
So
yeah, there's the Thunder Wave.
And now Metagross is going to have an even tougher time keeping up rocks due to that chance for full para.
Yeah, and there's no sand up to keep Starmie from passively healing either. So Metagross paralyzed is just not going to cut it against the Starmie.
And so we see the spin on Starmie coming in.
Yeah, that's smart, and you can see that LadyBug is using an offensively oriented Starmie because of the lack of leftovers. And additionally, when Thunder Wave is revealed, especially on this kind of bulkier Starmie, LadyBug knows that this is Surf, Thunder Wave, Rapid Spin, Recover, so it's smart of him to go to his own Starmie to offensively pressure it.
And so, do you think we'll see a switch to like Blissey now, or?
It's interesting because this is looking like a spec Starmie from LadyBug's end. So if BKC throws Blissey into the trick, then that means that if he's trick Rapid Spin, then LadyBug is going to be able to keep rocks off for pretty much the whole game, because BKC using Blissey is not using Tyranitar, so he can't actually trap Starmie, and that means that if Blissey gets tricked, then he can't trap the Starmie, and then each time Blissey tries to use Stealth Rock, Starmie can come in on the Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin. No Tyranitar, no Ghost, so he's going to need to keep that Blissey away from having a Choice Specs. So he's probably going to want to absorb that Choice Specs with something else, and he's not going to want to absorb it with Blissey, and he's not going to want to absorb it with Starmie, and definitely not Zapdos. So maybe we'll see BKC go to his Scarf Jirachi, or Metagross would be a bit more ambitious because it's not as bulky as Jirachi. But, it could also try to go to that Breloom that he probably has, give it a Toxic Orb or something, but then he's got to play around that. So BKC does not have a great move here. This is not a great position for him to be in. He's going to have to find some way to account for both a potential Specs Hydro Pump as well as a trick. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, very intense turn coming up most likely. And we see a switch to Heatran on the trick, and Choice Specs is revealed on both parties.
That's crazy, man. That is a ballsy play, but that is an extremely smart play, because BKC's like, yeah, I have a Blissey. He's probably not going to go for Hydro Pump because it doesn't make that much progress against Blissey, and I don't want my Blissey to receive a Choice Specs, and I don't really want anything else on my team, so screw it. Maybe he'll go for like a Thunderbolt or a Trick. So this is Yeah, this is a really smart mid-ground by BKC. Extremely risky, but that's a really huge play. That's incredible. And this Starmie is forced out now.
Yeah, and with LadyBug's team looking more offensive, nothing's going to really want to eat Specs Overheat or Fire Blast here.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. It's going to be really difficult for LadyBug to switch into this Specs Heatran, especially with this kind of offensive team. That he is clearly offensive with the Choice Spec Starmie, but in PvP, when there's a trick Pokemon that tricks a choice item, like in future generations, you can choose Hydro Pump here, but not in DDP. You are locked on a trick, so he's got to get out of there. And yeah, so we'll see what he goes into.
And we see a switch to Flygon, and good lord, that
oh my god,
just gets obliterated by Specs Overheat.
Yeah, that is insane. It's looking like LadyBug does not have a Tyranitar, by the way he just played that, because if he had a Tyranitar, he'd probably just go to it on the Specs Heatran. So he is really walking on eggshells here against Heatran, particularly Specs Heatran. So this is definitely probably a Scarf Flygon, but if it's Scarf Gallade and like a bulky Zapdos, it could be like Choice Band or mixed Flygon. But I'm just going to kind of expect Scarf here by the way he's playing it. Either way, BKC is going to have to switch out here. Probably just going to go to Zapdos, if I were to guess.
And we see a switch to Blissey instead.
That's ballsy. Wow. I don't think that was a great Blissey, because I mean, obviously it worked because it was like a U-turn, but I don't think Blissey wanted to take the banned U-turn. Maybe he was scared of Zapdos getting sniped. And maybe he just didn't have a much better shot there. But yeah, Blissey was kind of as a momentum sinking play anyway. So I mean, it worked out, but you know, it was a bit risky.
From that damage, is it banned? Blissey only took 16%.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's a Scarf Flygon.
So potential
Ban
double
Scarf
here.
Close. Yeah. Ban would have done like close to 30. So, yeah, the Gallade is in now, and Blissey's got to leave, and Zapdos makes the most sense. That was kind of what he went to the last time, and there's a trick. So it's a Trick Scarf Gallade. And now, with that being said, it makes sense that it's Scarf Flygon, because when you have one of these Trick leads, it's not really a real Scarfer. You know, you're going to want still to have some sort of revenge kill. So the idea is that this Gallade is probably built in order to trick the Choice Scarf.
Yeah. And so now Zapdos is going to have a bit more of a difficult time walling without its leftovers and being locked into one move. Do you think that this really opens up BK's team and that, like, for a potential endgame sweeper?
It could. I mean, usually when you use a Choice Scarf, kind of Trick Scarf, you're going to want some sort of like dangerous sweeper in the back. It has looked kind of difficult for LadyBug to deal with Zapdos. His team is pretty unorthodox, and in my opinion is not very good, because he's using like Stealth Rock Metagross, seemingly without some sort of Tyranitar to trap Starmie and put the sand up. You know, his Heatran switch in an early game was a Scarf Flygon, which took 81%. You know, Gallade is really showing, you know, that it is really a big sacrifice to run a gimmicky and niche Pokemon like this, when he could have just run something more standard, which would have given him a bit more flexibility in this game. So it's probably some sort of weird sweeper, but because of the structure of this team, and given that that is probably especially defensive-oriented Metagross, it is pretty unclear what LadyBug's last would be here. Obviously, it's not going to be like another Fighting Resist or, you know, anything like that. It could either be a second Steel, it could be Tyranitar, but he's not really playing it like it's Tyranitar, or maybe like a, I don't know, like a Carmine Suicune or something weird. Like, when you're playing something like this, it's like you don't really know what they're going to use, but based on the way LadyBug is playing, it is clear that he's going to have a hard time breaking BKC's bulkier balance.
Yeah. And so we see Glade stay on the discharge.
Ooh, and there's the Will-O-Wisp. Yeah, that makes sense to scout out the Zapdos. Now Flygon is free from LadyBug, and BKC is probably going to switch accordingly. Or he's going to stay in, because, you know, I don't know, Trick Will-O-Wisp kind of signals to me that the Starmie might wall this Gallade, so he might try to go Starmie, or discharge one more time and let that Flygon come in. because if Flygon's low, it can only come in so many times.
Yeah.
But this signals to me that he's probably going to be relying on Starmie to answer this Gallade now.
Mm-hmm. And so we do see the switch out to Starmie on the Wisp.
That was a smart Wisp. I mean, BKC kind of covered it with his natural cure Starmie, but,
Yeah.
you know, I guess he gets some more healing on Gallade.
Mm-hmm. And gonna see a switch back out to Zapdos as LadyBug goes out to Metagross.
Yeah, so it clearly looks like, you know, he probably wanted to go to Metagross on the Thunder Wave, and BKC made a great play to go to Zapdos just to mid-ground and scout to see if the Gallade had like Night Flash or something. Now LadyBug should be able to get Stealth Rocks up because the bulkier Zapdos unlikely to have Heat Wave in this position, and if it does, it's especially defensive Metagross, and he just really wants Rocks up to start making progress. So my feeling is that BKC is probably just going to go back to Starmie here, and LadyBug is going to try to up.
So, yep, we see the Starmie coming in as LadyBug makes a double to Zapdos, putting pressure on the Starmie.
Yeah, that was smart. I mean, it's a smart heads-up play, but like he's got the Rocks up on his field. Like Starmie comes in and passively heals because of no sand and no hazards up. So like that's still not great for LadyBug, but I mean he's doing the best he can.
Yeah.
And you know, BKC goes back to Blissey. Okay, there's another double.
Yeah. But LadyBug is just getting worn down slowly by Stealth Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Like these kind of doubles are not going to favor LadyBug in the long run. So he's going to have to start making more plays to try to progress the game.
Yeah.
But BKC will just go back to Starmie.
Yep. Here we do see the Starmie and Metagross gets a full para. So just another free round of lefties for Starmie.
I think what's going to happen here is that he's going to try to Stealth Rock up with Metagross to bait a Rapid Spin to get his own Starmie in. And then he's going to have to play that same mind game from before.
Yeah. So...
Recover. Okay, BKC is not surfing, which is a bit unusual.
And so we do see BKC maybe predicting a switch to, maybe an opposing Starmie?
So this is kind of a crazy shout, but a couple years ago, BKC was championing this Starmie set, which I do not think is a particularly good one. But the idea is that with Surf, Thunder Wave, Rapid Spin, and Recover Starmie, you are kind of set up fodder for Poison Heal Breloom. You can't really touch it, and especially having something like Blissey, it's kind of unpleasant to have that like two direct momentum sinks to Breloom. So what BKC was saying was, hey, if I'm good enough against Heatran and stuff, then why don't I use Psychic on Starmie? So he was using like Psychic, Thunder Wave, Rapid Spin, Recover. And based on his two moves here, where he doesn't even bother to Surf the Metagross, even from full HP, because Surf would make more progress than Thunder Wave on Starmie. So, to me, this is signaling that BKC might just be that set. And, you know, no offense, it's a terrible set. I mean, you can't hit Tyranitar at all, so you're super easy to trap. You know, it has some benefits in some matchups, but Surf is just so much better overall. It's hitting basically everything in the tier for chip damage. Psychic has like PP issues. It's just rough. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the set, but I understand the logic behind it. Like it's kind of a smart way to think about it, the whole thing, but I would just never use it myself. So that is what it's looking like right now. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but like, I don't know. You'd surely use Surf there. Yeah.
So we're going to see another Rapid Spin. Metagross just going to EQ.
34. Oh my god. So that roll is looking like a 34 to 40 approximately. So that Metagross does not have a tag.
Yeah. Kind of a critical hit, does a lot of damage, but Starmie's just going to be able to recover it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And if this Metagross were to have like more attack, and if Sand were to be up, like if he were using Tyranitar, then he could have had a crit that did like 94 damage, and then with Sand, he would just die.
Yeah.
Instead, what we're seeing is a specially defensive Metagross that can't do more than 68% Starmie on a critical hit, and he's going to heal outside of Sand, and he's just going to recover, and like the Metagross just can't, paralyzed Metagross just cannot beat this Starmie. There's no way.
So we do see the recover as Metagross gets up rocks again. probably going to see this little song and dance continue for a little bit.
Yeah, now he's trying to fish for an attack raise. And he gets it. Okay. That'll work. I mean, that's not very reliable, but it worked.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to have to... BKC will have to be more cautious now about staying in with Starmie.
More rapid spinning, more stealth rocks. And now Earthquake's
That's
dealing...
53.
Yeah.
That's in 2-hit KO range now. He can 2-shot with Earthquake, so he gets another critical hit. This Starmie's going down.
Oh, and we do see... And
yeah, and there's the Zapdos. But that is going to work out well because now LadyBug has Rocks up.
Yeah.
So he can make something happen now. Now he's got Rocks up, and it was not easy to get them up. He had to get an attack raise, and he had to break through paralysis, and he had to not face a Surf Starmie. But yeah, there it is. There's the Stealth Rocks, and maybe LadyBug can do something with this.
So, yeah, Zapdos at this point probably going to go down. Just trying to get extra
he probably
chip.
goes to Flygon. Yeah.
And then the Zapdos can die to burn damage. Yep. And now we do see Breloom.
Yeah, Breloom's in. Pretty interesting switch to Fly. If I were to guess, this is probably Mach Punch Breloom, but my guess would be that LadyBug would just want to outrage here. Either predict the Mach Punch, but he either predicts the Mach Punch and goes delayed, or he just outrages.
So we instead see a switch to Starmie, which gets Spored. Do you think LadyBug was trying to get Spin-Off?
I think that he was trying to scout for the Mach Punch, yeah, and I guess if he gets Spored instead, then
he can natural cure.
Spore. Yeah, because if he just stayed into Outrage, then Spore is not great for BKC, because then he gets a ton of chip on Breloom, and then he gets a Sleep Fodder, which is like a 9% Flygon. So I think that this was a reasonable play by LadyBug to cover the Mach Punch, and then get a potential mind game to get something else Spored. If he goes to Gallade and gets that Spore, it's probably not that great, because Gallade without the Zapdos around is a lot more threatening to BKC's team. Yeah, I think he's going to try to now cover the Seed Bomb and maybe another Spore. I mean, the idea, honestly, what probably would have been a better play for LadyBug is to go to Metagross here, because he would have been able to cover Spore and Mach Punch similarly, and not actually... Yeah, because it's paralyzed, so he wouldn't have actually gone to sleep. It puts LadyBug in an awkward position.
So, and we see Focus Punch Breloom as Metagross comes in, takes a massive amount of damage.
Yeah, that's not good. I think that he probably kind of messed up that sequence. Metagross taking all that damage is really not great for LadyBug right now, especially when he has like a 9% Flygon, So he just kind of didn't play that sequence right. And with Breloom, it just comes down to guessing, what this Pokemon's going to click, because it's low-key kind of broken with the Spore, and so BKC just clicked the better buttons there, and now LadyBug is probably going to have to go back to Starmie or Zapdos or something on the Seed Bomb or Mach Punch. So he's in a bad spot.
And we see, switch to Zapdos on the Seed Bomb.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now Breloom might be forced out. BKC is going to play this pretty safe, and I think he's just going to go to Blissey here on the Zapdos.
Yep, we do see Blissey on the Heat Wave.
Now Thunder Wave can come out from Blissey. But, BKC actually... Yeah, and it's kind of fine for LadyBug to take that in a vacuum, because now he has another pivot into Spore Breloom. But, obviously Zapdos getting paralyzed is not ideal, but it's not going to make progress against Blissey anyway. And now he has another pivot into Breloom. That's not so bad for him. He can probably outstall this Blissey if he gets lucky.
And so we see BKC electing to just try and chip down Zapdos. Now we see Glade coming on the Seismic.
Yeah, that's interesting. He kind of left his Zapdos unhealthy and did not put the Blissey in a position where it would want to use Soft Boiled, so I think that was a bit haphazard. I think he could have actually stayed in a little more.
Yeah, let's see what both of them do from here, though.
Yeah, and I think BKC probably just goes to like Starmie or something. Okay, now we see LadyBug kind of rushed that anyway, in my opinion. But now this is another scary position because obviously he still doesn't want Blissey to take the specs.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard for him to go to Heatran now because he already pulled that off once. Is he going to throw Heatran in? Maybe LadyBug uses Hydro Pump this time. So it's just a matter of what you think they're going to do. I mean, LadyBug could either maybe use an electric move, or you can use Trick, or you can use Hydro Pump. Maybe BKC actually opts to go Breloom here because he's got the paralyzed healthy Zapdos, and he's got some offensive pressure against Breloom already. And if BKC is expecting like electric move, Trick, or he's expecting like a rapid spin or something like that, then Breloom kind of covers those options well enough. Like if he Hydro Pumps Breloom, then Breloom is living, and then you can just go to Blissey afterwards. So
yeah, Breloom is still fully healthy, so... And,
yeah, it should take anything except an Ice Beam.
Yep, we do see a switch to Breloom on the check. So...
Wow. Yeah, that's great because now the Starmie actually takes some chip from the poison. But here's the situation, right? BKC is going to respect the fact that this Starmie has not revealed its final move. And what Starmie has run in the past is like Trick, Hydro Pump, Psychic, Rapid Spin. So I think BKC is actually going to switch out here and try to scout for that potential Psychic. And it would be a really smart play for LadyBug to go for Trick here because he's probably going to cripple something, or Hydro Pump. Maybe cover that Heatran that might come in again. But I would honestly stay in here and try to seize my momentum as LadyBug, because this Starmie is the biggest threat that he has shown to BKC's team, and he's got to make something happen with it. And if he's going to do that, he also probably wants to get rid of his Toxic Orb. So this is a great turn to Trick as LadyBug.
And no, we see LadyBug go out to Metagross.
Oh yeah, so LadyBug failed to see the bluffing potential that he had on that turn, and made a play that ended up being suboptimal because no matter what BKC switched into, respecting that Psychic, going to Metagross is going to lose LadyBug's momentum. Yeah. So I think that he did not recognize that situation properly, and he should have stayed in and tricked again.
Yeah, and at this point, there's not really anything that wants to switch into Seismic Toss, so unless we see a last Pokemon revealed here, there is probably going to be a sack.
Yeah, he might sack the Metagross, or if he really wants to try to keep it again, he might go to Gallade and just try to make something happen again. But I think we can tell by the way LadyBug's playing this that his Gallade can't actually touch Starmie either. So it's probably like Trick, Close Combat, Will-O-Wisp, and Ice Punch. Definitely wanted some sort of move to hit Starmie, or it would have been way more threatening. But unfortunately, he just didn't have the right set.
Yeah. And so we see Zapdos come in on the Seismic Toss, and that's going to be a dead Zapdos.
Yeah, and if he had stayed in and healed it before, he could have actually, outlasted this Blissey to some extent. So it's not great health management there from LadyBug.
So here we do see the Gallade coming in, but yeah, Starmie's just going to be able to come in, eat that CC. CC does decent amount, but Starmie's just going to recover off.
Yeah, he's going to recover that off, and by the looks of the way LadyBug is played, it's not going to be able to actually pressure Starmie down, so definitely not great. I think that it's hard to tell what LadyBug even goes into here. I mean, he probably sacks Metagross at this point, because I just don't see what else he has. I mean, Starmie's going to get poisoned, and he can't really pressure it otherwise.
And do you see a switch to Starmie?
Oh, he spun. He didn't even bother. Yeah, that's really smart. Yeah, it was a free spin. Yeah, LadyBug's team is just unfortunately pretty bad. I mean, he's not able to really do that much here, and he's so weak to Starmie. So now it's going to be even harder to wear BKC's team down. And he's got this low health, poisoned Starmie, and he's just got to get another turn right. And I think because he switched Starmie out earlier, he's probably just going to go Breloom again. He's not going to let Blissey take a trick at this point. There's no way. So I think that BKC is just going to go back to Breloom, and we'll see what LadyBug does.
And yeah, we do see a switch to Breloom on the Hydro Pump doing a lot, but Breloom is going to be able to start healing that off. And
oh, now he did it at the wrong time. He tried to trick the Blissey now. But no, BKC's not going to let that Blissey take a trick. And he probably assumed that because he didn't pull the trigger earlier on like a Psychic, that BKC in his head is probably like, yeah, LadyBug doesn't have that. I'm just going to attack here and not let him, do anything to my Blissey. And I lived a Hydro Pump, so, that was not a good trick from LadyBug. It's probably going to cost him a Starmie.
Yeah. And, yep, we see the Starmie go down here. So, Gallade comes in as sort of a last-ditch effort, probably, because Flygon dies to Mach, and Metagross dies to anything at this point, so...
Yeah, Breloom's really close to just winning, and the fact that he sent Go it's probably not a last that's going to do that much to it.
So, yep, we see Starmie, close combat. Starmie's just going to recover it all off.
Yeah, he's going to have to sack Metagross here, I think. I mean, he doesn't even have his rocks up. Oh, he's going for a crit or something? He's just going to keep recovering off. How many recovers has Starmie even used at this point?
Oh, we do see. That's still 9 more recovers. LadyBug probably won't be able to burn them all at this point with such an offensive team.
Yeah, no way. Yeah, literally.
And we see Metagross coming in.
I think Metagross just going to explode here.
It is.
Yeah, there's the Psychic. It's ridiculous. Like
Psychic not even able.
He can't even.
Yep. And we do see the boom.
That's insane. He couldn't even freaking. Yeah. Too little, too late. He should have sent Flygon out here because it's obvious. Like he's not going to go to anything that's going to actually concede momentum to the Gallade, and he obviously has a Scarf Jirachi or Metagross there. So that was certainly a Flygon turn, but probably didn't matter that much at this point. So something's going to go down here.
Yep. See, we see the Flygon coming on EQ. BKC probably not wanting to risk Meteor Mash Miss.
Yeah, he feels pretty comfortable with his position. He thinks he's going to lock this one in. I mean, Trick Boom Metagross is kind of the perfect act in this scenario, because any sweeper that LadyBug might have here, Metagross should be able to cover that in a vacuum. So going for Earthquake is perfectly reasonable there. I think he's just going to throw Breloom in, take whatever that Flygon does. Probably just going to hard Outrage if I were to guess, especially because Metagross locked himself onto Earthquake. So I think that BKC is definitely going Breloom, because he doesn't want to go Heatran either to concede any momentum to a last Pokemon that he doesn't know. So he's just going to go play safe, go to Breloom, let it, let the Flygon do some damage to it, presumably with Outrage, and then just revenge kill it with Mach Punch. Probably, yeah.
And so, yep, we see the Breloom on the Outrage killing. So what, going to go Heatran at this point, do you think?
I think he's going to go to
or Metagross?
Honestly, I think he's going to go to Blissey. Because it's tough, right? Because if you go to Specs, Heatran, or Scarf Metagross, you're giving yourself a lock into an attack.
True.
But Blissey has the option to eat this Outrage and then just go for, prevent some sort of sweeper from setting up with the threat of Thunder Wave. So as long as he doesn't get crit here, I mean, even if he gets crit, this Flygon is too low. So, it can't switch out and come back in an Earthquake, Heatran, and Metagross. So, yeah, Blissey is the appropriate play, because he's also got the Gallade in and everything, so,
I see. Yeah, we do see the Blissey here, eating that Outrage up, and do you think...
Oh, that was a smart soft-boiled.
What do you think BKC is trying to go for here? Confusion turn, or...?
Yeah, so he recognized the damage from the U-turn earlier, and that it's a Scarf Flygon, and Blissey's pretty bulky, should be able to live 2 Outrages, meaning it's not really that much in danger anymore of being crit out unless he gets extremely lucky. So what BKC is going to do is just keep spamming soft-boiled until this Flygon hits itself in confusion.
I see.
And then, yeah.
And so we're going to see another soft boil on the Outrage. There's a confusion. And there we go.
Oh, even Seismic Toss there.
Seismic Toss. And we do see a Tyranitar come out. Very curious, because you were saying that LadyBug probably would have used T-Tar as a Specs Heatran switch in. Why do you think LadyBug chose to keep the Heatran? Why do you think LadyBug chose to keep the T-Tar hidden until now?
I think that LadyBug kept this Tyranitar hidden because he was trying all game to set up for some sort of Dragon Dance sweep. Like, if this were a Pursuit Tyranitar, then you would have already seen it try to trap that Starmie, especially without even having Surf, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, this signals that this is a Dragon Dance Tyranitar sweeping Pokemon, and I think that even so, trying to save it for the end or whatever he was trying to do, I don't think that it was the appropriate route, because Sand could have gone such a long way for LadyBug to wear down BKC's team with all of these Pokemon that he has that are weak to Sand, and to prevent that Starmie from being able to recover easily. And the fact that Flygon actually was a threat in the endgame, especially after Gallade tricked Zapdos. He took all that damage on the Flygon from Spectran Overheat. So I think that he definitely should have tried to use Tyranitar against the Heatran, and then if he expected a Breloom or something like that, he should have just gone for like a Fire Punch and just attacked the Breloom outright. So I think that it's a very good question that you asked, and my explanation is that I understand why he saved Tyranitar until last, but I don't think it was the correct way to play this game.
I see. Do you think that DD-Tar poses a serious threat here, since this could be Lumtar, so Blissey would be forced to switch out, and T-Tar could get a free DD.
Definitely a big threat, because BKC's team is just kind of weak to Dragon Dance Tyranitar, and that's one of the problems with Metagross, is that you have to hit Meteor Mash to actually KO Tyranitar. I'm not 100% sure it's even a one-shot, probably after Stealth Rocket clinches it, but like, if you miss Meteor Mash, Tyranitar can Dragon Dance a second time on the miss and completely end this game. So yeah, if BKC goes to Metagross now, Tyranitar uses Dragon Dance, and then he misses Meteor Mash and LadyBug Dragon Dances a second time, that's game over for BKC. He's going to lose. But also, you'd think, Blissey can just Thunder Wave. But the problem is that if this is a specific Tyranitar set, which is Taunt and Lumberry, then what that means is that he's going to be able to taunt the Blissey after it Thunder Waves on the +1. So this Tyranitar, with some luck, can win despite everything. And maybe in that angle, it can make a bit of sense why LadyBug played the way he did. Ultimately, maybe it was a bit critical of me to say, he totally played this incorrectly. I mean, I probably would have gone for a different route. But ultimately, LadyBug just does not have a great team here, because if he had something like Healing Wish, then he could use Dragon Dance Tyranitar more aggressively. So I think that the overall theme of this game is that Gallade is just not a great slot for him to have, and you can see the concession made by using a Pokemon that is just not providing very much for an offensive build.
So this game looks like it's probably going to be wrapping up soon, so let's see how it all wraps up. There's the Sandstream. No lefties, so it's probably Lum. There's the DD. And so are there any... does EQ kill Metagross EQ? Or are there any other options Metagross could have?
Nope. He's got to go for the Meteor Mash. That's the game. He has to, because if this Metagross goes down, then Gallade will just win, probably. He has to go for Mash here. It's make or break. I mean, that's just the way BKC's team is. He played this appropriately. It was very smart of him to go Metagross on Dragon Dance, but that's just the way his team is. I mean, BKC, his team has a lot of problems in the current metagame, in my opinion, and this is definitely one of them. And yeah, he's risking the game on Metagross, but that's just the way he built it out.
I see. Well, this is the moment of truth. Let's see how it all plays out. And we see the Meteor Mash hit. There goes the T-Tar.
That's the game, because he just switches out now. Gallade tricked its Scarf, So he just goes to whatever, and then Metagross will just end the game. So, yeah, overall, BKC played really well. I like the way LadyBug played at some points, but I think that LadyBug did not play his best and could have capitalized on bluffs. But I ultimately think that LadyBug's team didn't give him as many options this game as BKC's did. BKC brought a better team at the end of the day and got a well-deserved win.
Yeah. And if that's all then, well, thank you for joining me today, Excal. It was very much a pleasure to record with you. And for all the viewers at home, thank you for watching. And I wish you a pleasant rest of your day.